It's What's the Tea with Nikkolayla again. Ting, ting. Oh, goodness. I gotta figure out where I am here. Ting, ting, ting. Just put it in front of my face and I'll have my little cup of tea of ting, 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 ting. Anyway, hello. It is good to be back here again. It's good to see all of you in the virtual realm again. Anyway, today we are going to touch on creation. And I'm going to do an etymology word of creation and we'll see what it says. And the reason why, okay, so I woke up this morning with the song C'est la vie. And it's CEST, and I can't remember exactly. And then the La, LA, and then VIE. I believe that's how it's spelled. But I'll be posting that C'est la vie, or you'll see the phrase because it's French. So anyway, the reason why I came up with that song. There's a song called C'est la vie, and it's by this guy named Robbie Neville, and I think it was done in the 80s, 90s. I don't remember. However, I woke up with the song C'est la vie. That's just the way it goes. And so whenever I wake up with a song, I always look up the lyrics because I want to know what it is saying. Because my thing is I think, and this is what I get, is that music is communicating with you. So there's information communicating with you and letting you know certain things about, maybe like giving you some kind of significance in your life or whatever, especially if you wake up with a song and you don't normally listen to that particular song, or yeah, you just don't play it in your normal entourage of music or whatever. So it's like, okay. So the phrase is that's just the way it goes. And like I said, I'll leave the link, and I'll even leave the link of the song so you can listen to the song if you want or if you like. And that's just the way it goes. And so, and there was three concepts that were talked about. One was relationships, and one was relationships. One was a job, and one was a situation which had to do with their car breaking down. And so if you listen to the lyrics of the song, it's like "C'est la vie," that's just the way it goes. Then the question is that the way it goes? Is it really the way it goes? And I know that I've talked about the subject of creation or creating, and I feel that we are creators and we have the ability to empower ourselves with the forward movement of creating whatever experience that we choose to create. And this particular song saying that's just the way it goes. It's like you have a job and you're going to your job 9 to 5. That's just the way it goes. Or you had a relationship, but now that you're alone, that's just the way it goes. And your car broke down, and it's not moving, and that's just the way that goes. Well, yes, situations and experiences do happen and they do occur. However, you have the ability to create, well, of course, you have the ability to respond in a certain way to them and not have a trigger with them, but you can also create your experience as you go along. Now, I'm going to read the etymology dictionary, but there's another piece of the puzzle that has to do with your imagination. So I'm going to read that one too, imagination, so you can have the etymology dictionary definition of what that particular word actually is too. So creation is late 14th century, according to the online etymology dictionary, action of creating or causing to exist, also a created thing, that which is created. Creation, a coming into being. There is a part in here: to make, bring forth, produce, to grow. So you actually creating or producing means, to me, you're in charge of it. coming into being. You're the creator. So the other part of that section is that in order for you to create, you need to imagine what you want to create, right? So I know in my last video, I believe that I was, now I don't remember which video it is now, but there was one that I was talking about the young lady, you know, experiencing her life and having her cubicle and working at this company or whatever, and her meeting this young man and them connecting and her deciding to make a list and start, pretty much they were creating an experience from what they, and it just stemmed from an idea. So here it is. You take something that you're inspired to, that you want, you have a desire to do, and you actually then take action, like I talked about in the other video, is like you have to take an action. But but that came from your imagination. So it is your imagination that stems that particular idea that you wrote on your list. And then from that, from you writing that particular thing on your list, you have imagined some form of it. You know, you might not have imagined the whole entire thing. And that's the wonderful, amazing thing about actually creation, is that you don't know exactly how it's going to turn out. Not exactly. Like, you have an idea. It's like, I want to create this, and you do it. So I can only share with you, like, I mean, I've had several experiences where, you know, my imagination created some of my experience, and I'm continually doing that. And I continually plan on doing it because it's fun. It's so much fun. And so if you look at a child and, you know, when they're very little, I'd say the age between 1 and 5, where they've got that experimental, like, you know, just they'll go from one thing to another. They're never settled in because they're constantly creating. There's something brand new. They see something and then they go, oh, I want to try that. Oh, I see this. Oh, let me move over here. They're experiencing life. So they're in creation mode all the time. If you have children that see things and have a desire to live, like, that's exactly what we have the ability as adults to do as well, is to tap into that place of creation. And all they're doing is they're using their imagination. And I know that there was one part in here, oh my God, it was so funny. And not in here, but in one of my videos. So Shanae, I had her on as a guest, and she was talking about her son saying something. He made some statement. You'll have to look back, and I'll probably put the link of that particular video. And the way she tells the story is hilarious. At least it's hilarious to me. So she starts sharing this story about her son, you know, and all he says is, "Mommy, I'm just using my imagination." Like, and she's all like, "Babe, babe, babe, he said he's using imagination." And so the way she shares it is hilarious. So this 5-year-old child is already expressing he's tapped in, knowing that all he's doing is using his imagination. Okay? His imagination. Did you hear me? His imagination. Okay, so we're going to read imagination. Imagination station. Imagination. If I can get to it. I'm imagining this to manifest. Okay, so imagination is a noun. I didn't say that for the other word, creation. I'll have to look back at it. It's, noun is a person, place, or thing. So imagination, faculty of the mind, which forms and manipulates images. Mid-14th century concept, mental picture. So that means there's a mental picture that comes in. Now it states in here hallucination, but I consider it's a mental picture, imagination, a fancy. It says an image. So that means you have an image. You are imagining something. So there are other people that have the ability to express the deeper part of where all this stems from and how it's like, you know, that's not my thing. I'm like, I don't have that information to provide. However, what I do know is that I know I have my own personal experiences. See, one of my gifts is I have the ability to create recipes out of my imagination because I can see. And so since I can see, like, so I can take, like, say for instance, like I have a desire to have a particular flavor. I like the first part of my experience is the flavor comes in. It's like, oh, I want to have that particular flavor. And then the next part of it is like, oh, the flavor's coming in. I start putting ingredients together and I just like I would call it in the ethers. In the ethers, I'm like creating, I'm in creation mode. I'm like, and it hasn't even been manifested in the physical. Like I haven't even put it in the physical. It has no physical form at all, nothing. However, I am in the space of creating it. I have the power, knowingly that I have the power to be able to create. Now, people, we all see these particular creations all the time where people, it's like, oh, you come out with a brand new phone or you come out with some kind of new game or anything that you want to create, you have the ability to do that. But again, there's certain things that take place for that to happen, right? Like you had to actually tap into your own imagination if you're the one that's creating it. Now, you can take part of somebody else's creation and then create something else from it. That is a wonderful thing too. I mean, that I do that too. It's fun. It's like, oh my God. So think of a child. It's like you have something that you start off with and then you go, huh, I see that. So what else can I do? So I can only speak personally for myself. The way I'm just like, I'll take somebody else's recipe and create my own recipe from it because I either will choose to create something brand new from it because of the fact that I don't want to use that particular ingredients because I want it to be in a vegan or vegetarian style way. And I don't have a desire to have the meat in it. Or it's like, but I know the necessary tools. So the other thing is I have tools. So my tools are knowing, having the ability that I have a taste bud to know the flavors that are necessary to create that essence of that. So this is something that I'm sure that chefs know, but they went to school for this. I just have it naturally from I know that I don't have to go to, for me, I don't have to go to school to find out what a flavor is tastes like. Like I can put certain things together and most of the time my stuff comes out really good. So it's like I connect, I know what flavors that I want to taste together. And once I mesh them together, it usually comes out like this. I mean, I have my moments where, I was like, we're going to have to go back to the table and create that one or we'll have to come back to it or something. But most of the time, it's like comes out pretty good. And I usually also, the other thing is, if I go to a restaurant and I really, really like something that I had at the restaurant, I will create it in my own way in a vegetarian, more, like a more vegetarian, vegan style meal because it just, I am desiring the flavor, the taste of that, but I can still access it somehow from the my ingredients that I put together because I just know what to put together automatically and recreate it. It's just one of my gifts. And that's the other thing. It's like it's really good to know what your gifts are because you can actually utilize your gifts to expand on your imagination. It's like if you have the ability, I don't know. There's lots and lots of people that have different gifts. There's just I mean, like I said before, we're all unique, we're all important, and we're all here to bring something to the table. And so bringing that particular thing to the table and imagining it first and then or however you get it again like it could be a revelation, it could be something like a light bulb moment that comes in. You could be watching something and then ting, an idea comes. So there's the idea. So I'm not going to put them in consecutive right now, but what I'm going to do is point out the ingredients that is necessary. So creation, your imagination, some tools that probably tapping into some of the gifts that you already have to be able to utilize your ability to create, and action and moving in on that particular thing that you want to accomplish in your life. It's like, and making a list of those things, and then moving forward with those, and then also researching whatever it is that you want to create. So like I said before, like when it came to me, like putting my show together, like it was like pieces of the puzzle started coming together, and then you are in creation mode. You are creating something. But then the beautiful thing about it, as you're taking necessary steps, one step at a time, to create something in this physical world, because you don't want it to still be on the ethers. I had this conversation. It was a very brief conversation with a young man that I would consider and call my brother. And he's got all these wonderful, amazing ideas. But I asked him, so did you write them down? And he's like, no, they're in my head. And it's like, you got to write them down. That's great that they're in your head. That's wonderful that they're in your head, but you need to bring them into this physical form, this physical essence. You have them in the ethers. Okay, that's great, whatever. But if you write them down, once you write them down, then you can follow through with the next necessary steps to actually accomplish them. Because maybe if you write them down, it's like, okay, that part of it you might not be able to do right now. But so then the next thing is what can you do? So then you start to research or connect to or investigate what it is. And then also you could possibly find people that are actually doing something in consistency or maybe similar, or something that sparks your imagination even further. Something is going to make it even more, bring more things together, so you can congeal it and bring it together and manifest it into this physical world. Because this is the thing, if you don't do the necessary work, so it's kind of like you're being, but you got to bring into the doing. You have to do the necessary work. That means you have to take the steps. And if you write a list, you can go through and down that list to follow through, so you know what your next steps are. And once you know your next step, then you go on to the next step. You just keep expanding into that expression so you can manifest it in the physical world. That's creation. You have the ability to create anything you desire, anything that you desire. So you just write it down. That's one of the first things. Write it down. Um, it will come to you. So that's the other thing that I had. I remember having a pastor, a prophet. He was a prophet, and it was so interesting how one of the things he said was, he said, just like the sun, it comes to you. That's how your imagination works. It just comes to you. That's why they put that little light bulb bing moment. You have a light bulb moment, and it's like, move on that light bulb moment, because you're in the creation mode. You're in it. So once you're in that creation mode, write that stuff down. Write it down, because it's so important to write it down. So once you write it down, then the next thing is start to take some action towards it. Now, you can say, I will do this. Okay, so there was a young man, I was watching his video just recently, and he wasn't talking about manifestation, but he was talking about like it's kind of like the energy of, I can't go into detail with it. His name is Cue, and his last name is Reeves. Very intellectual, connected. I mean, he's powerful. So, and rather interesting. And so, what I notice is that you have to take what is come into you, and you need to move on what has come into you, and take action to bring it into this physical form, into this expression. So he's giving the way he's explained stuff is he's giving a deeper definition of the ability to maneuver like what is actually happening. That's what was so deep about. So I personally, for me, I'm talking about the necessary steps that it takes for you to actually go and to create. Because people talk about, like, it's like sometimes if okay, so one of the things that happens sometimes is if you are in your own way, because sometimes we can be in our own way. And if you're thinking, that's one of the problems. And you're not being. If you're thinking and it's like you're constantly, oh, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna do. You're in your head. You're in your head. Get out of your head. See, now I don't know for sure, but I would believe that the thinking part is a masculine quality. You're in your head. When you start being, and okay, so being is more like you are living from a freer space. Like you are, it's kind of you're gliding on a glider. You got like your hands free, and maybe you've pulled for the oh gosh, I can't think of what it is. It's kind of like your parachute. You've pulled your parachute, and now all that's left to do is for you to kind of guide your way down. Like you don't really have to do much of anything, but just and actually, even if you don't try to guide yourself down because you're not ready to actually fully land yet, you can actually just glide. And so it's kind of like that. Like that's the only way I can describe it right now. Maybe something else will come to me later, but it's kind of like that. It's got that guidance. It's like you're not in control. You're just being guided. You're just being led. And there's a flow to it. And there's an ease. You can strangle something and hold so tight on it that you need to let go. And when you're strangling it, it won't move in the way that you want it to move because you've got your hands on it. So let it go. So when you move away from that particular what you desire to manifest, and it's kind of like, I guess for me, it's like I feel like it's simple for me only because, and believe me, don't get me wrong, I've had my moments where I probably was strangling something. It's like, will you freaking let it go? I'm going to share, I think I shared this story before where I had let go. Like I had been looking for a job somewhere. Oh yeah, that's exactly. I think I did share this story before. But yeah, I was looking for a job, and or actually, I was working somewhere, and I had met a young lady who became I befriended her, and I was sitting at home, like the work that I was receiving, I was no longer receiving anymore. Like it had lessened and lessened and lessened, and so I was moving in a way of like I was in glide space. I was very gliding with the flow, like it's kind of like I really didn't feel like I had too much of a care in the world because I was in a place of safety. I didn't have anything to worry about. I didn't have any bills to worry about because my dad was, excuse me, being very supportive to me in this interim, in this space. And I'm so grateful for that. I love you, Dad. I love you so much. So, um, when that time before that, so I was in glide space. So since I was in glide space, I wasn't trying to push or force anything. I didn't have my hands, I wasn't strangling anything. I felt so free. My soul felt like at ease. There was nothing that I was fighting with. I wasn't struggling with anything or in any way, shape, or form. I was at peace with myself, and I was in a place of peace and joy. And all I did was probably every day I did my whole, my consistent daily meditation and, chanting and whatever I did on a normal basis, just, normal, but I wasn't trying to force anything. And the next day I get a call from this same young lady, and she says to me over the phone, Spirit woke me up at 2 o'clock this morning and told me to ask you if you would like to work where I work. because this, and this, and this is happening in my life. And I was like, there it is. I didn't have to struggle. I didn't have to fight. I didn't even have to search. I didn't have to look. I didn't do anything. All I did was I waited. I waited in a place of peace. It was like I was in a holding space. That's all I can call it. I was in a peaceful holding space where it's like, okay, you have that tranquil music, that I'm happy. Everything seems wonderful and great because actually it was. I was at peace. I didn't have any all my bills or whatever, everything was taken care of. I didn't have to worry about anything. I wasn't concerned about what was going to be happening next. I really didn't, it's not that I didn't care. I just was in a place of peace. And that's exactly the same thing that happened to me when I got my car. Like I was in a place of peace. Like anytime it was just so amazing. And I love being in it. It actually, the way I can describe it is it's a blissful peace. It is a blissful holding place of peace. And there is nothing and no one. And yeah, I was not moved by anything or anyone. Like there was no one in my life going, well, what are you going to do? Or you did it at nothing, because I was in a place of peace and serenity. And so when I was in those spaces, stuff just came to me like the sun, like the prophet said. He was like, it'll come to you. Prophet Gary Samora. Yeah. It's like the sun. It will come to you. So I'm saying you have the ability to tap in. So that's the other thing. Okay, so there's another part of the puzzle. You have to be at peace. Stop struggling. And I know I can say stop doing this or stop doing that. Okay. Sometimes you have to, it's kind of like let go. It's like, I think I was telling my sister-in-law, kind of like, it's like a dog with a bone. Like sometimes people want to hold on to stuff like a dog with a bone. Like, your jaws are like wrapped around it and you just like can't let go. It's like, just let go. Like, let it go. And actually, I'm reminding myself, it's like, just be with where you are, be in a joyful place of where you are, and let go. And once you let go, because I've heard this phrase before, it's like people say, let go. Some people say, let go and let God. Well, I'm going to say, let go and let Prime Source Creator maneuver. Let the Holy Spirit maneuver. If you've done all that you need to do, just let the Holy Spirit, let the energy of peace surround you, knowing that you've done all that you could do, and you just relax in it. Go do something that you enjoy. Go do something that makes you happy. You want to, if you need it because you need to do, like maybe you don't have any money at the time, just go take a walk. Do something that you enjoy doing, or something you can even create or manifest that. You can create an experience. It's like, I desire to do this, and somebody could come into your life and be like, oh, do you want to go and do this? Or you want to go out to lunch? You want to do this? You want to do that? You want to do that? Oh, I have had so many different experiences like that. Oh my God. That reminds me of a story. Oh my God. I had no money to my name. Zero, zilch, zero. I'm sitting at the Pasadena Orchestra watching a performance, sitting in the front, and this is a private showing, and didn't have to pay for the ticket. Like, I've had so many different experiences where I've seen Prime Source Creator create experiences for me with ease and grace, and I didn't have to push, pull, move, maneuver, nothing. It was easy. Why? Because I moved the hell out of the way. And I didn't struggle with it, and I didn't fight to like like with my jaws like a dog holding onto a bone or holding onto something that I won't want to let go. Like I wasn't a pit bull trying to hold on to something. It's like, will you let go? Because you're making it more difficult for yourself. So I'm saying there's another piece of the puzzle. If you let go and let the creation come to you, even if you sit and contemplate or just sit and don't do anything, something will come to you eventually. And don't even try to fight for that something to come, because then you're in your ego. So that's a whole nother something. You're in a place of ego and you are struggling and you are fighting against yourself. You're not fighting against anybody else. You're fighting against you, and you're the only one in the way. So get out of the freaking way and give space to what your experience is and let it go. Stop trying to hold on to it and watch and see what'll happen. And then the other thing is, keep your ears and eyes open and pay attention and be in a quiet space. And what I mean by that, not saying that you don't have conversations with people, but be in a quiet space within yourself, like listen more than talk. That's another thing. You got to be quiet. Can you be quiet? Can you sit with yourself and just be calm in some way, shape, or form? Some of us are, like we go, but I think sometimes there's a practice where because you can't hear, you can't hear, like, that's another gift that has to, eventually some people will tap into being clear audience, where you can actually hear guidance and it's loving. It's not something that's, it's loving and it's watching out for you and it's taking care of you and it's guiding you with ease and grace. That's when you know that there's more alignment. It's guiding you with ease and grace, and it's not there to hurt you. And it's not going to give you guidance that is out of, and I call it out of order. You're not going to be out of order with that ease and grace. It's not going to be difficult. You're not going to have to do something, to get it. There's no consequences. There's no, I'm sorry. Yeah, there's no consequences. Yeah, there's no consequences. It's just ease and graceful. And there's no, it's unconditional. There's no conditions. There's no expectations. Because once you start hearing people like, oh, well, you need to do this or you need to do that, or there's some expectation or conditions on certain things, that's a sign that, okay, well, thank you very much, very much so. Moving on. I don't want what you have to offer. I don't want it. I have no desire for what you have to offer. That's not it. That's not it. Keep it moving. Thank you. Bye-bye for now. So anyway, so thank you so much for watching my show, and go out there and create and put your puzzle together. Okay? Put your puzzle together of creation. I'll see you later. See you later. And have a good, wonderful, love, compassionate, passionate, kind, joyful, inspirational, and loving experience. And keep on creating and imagining for you. I'll talk to you at the wonderful, perfect time. Bye for now. It's what